This video will contain spoilers from the world and story of Subnautica. Please beware.
Good evening guys and welcome to another video. Now recently, Subnautica Below Zero has received an update to one of the most terrifying creatures that can currently be found within it, the ice worm. So in today's video, I figured let's do something a little bit different. Currently, there is a debug area in the game where you can go in and you can witness all the new animations and you can check out the new models for the creature itself. So I figured let's just go in a bit more of let's play style video and look at what we have on offer while theorizing about it on the way. So you're gonna have some on the go theories and on the go lore about what we have right in front of us. Now with that out of the way, get your thumpers ready, make sure you have some thick body armor to protect you from the heat, and let's go. Alright, so here we are. This is the ice worm debug area, and as you can see there's a whole bunch of poles with text on them, each of which shows a different animation or an interaction that you can have with the new ice worm. So I figure let's just go by them one by one and see what we have here. So the first sign here says Phantom, so let's see what this is all about. Okay, that definitely sounds like a phantom. Oh my god, okay, there it is. Jesus, look at this thing. Okay, now that's very interesting. Let's watch that again. I had to turn off the fog in the middle of it. So, see, the spike on its forehead is piping hot, meaning that it definitely uses that in combination with it just being extremely sharp to burrow through the ice. Now I wonder if it's able to, most likely it's able to control the temperature of this spike, which would make it one of the, probably actually the only animal that can at will change the temperature of a part of its body. You can maybe see some similarities to the dragon, but then again, the dragon only ingests already hot magma. It doesn't create the warmth inside of its body. It doesn't melt the rock. It's supposed to be short jump. Oh! Jesus. Besides the crazy lag, that was definitely a short jump. Can we see that again? I'd love to see that again. Well, it's definitely big. You can already probably see some potential similarities to the ancient skeleton from the Lost River, just in the way it is protected via like the plated shielding, and that is also, that is pretty common with a lot of animals on the planet. But okay, let's see the long jump. I'm presuming it's gonna be a similar deal. It's just gonna, well, jump further. Wow, it's able to leap a crazy distance, and if you think about how thick the ice here is, this animal must be incredibly strong. And also the heat at the tip of its, the spike, has to be incredible for it to be able to melt through without much resistance and then leap that kind of distance. Oh. Jesus. Okay, see, so that looks like it was having some trouble to burrow through the ice, so I do really wonder if it can control the temperature, and if perhaps this is something that would make more sense if the ice sheet in that area was simply thicker, so it had a bit more difficulty to get through. Yeah, just a very quick poke. So obviously, the only way it's going to be able to sense you is that it can sense vibrations, right, through the water. Vibrations that begin in the ice, that carry through into the water, presumably beneath. It has to have some crazy sensory organs in it that allow it to sense to that level of accuracy. Oh boy. Jesus Christ, it can just literally poke out of a wall. Okay, well, that takes everything to a whole nother level, so not only, like, this thing probably doesn't even need water underneath the ice. It can just straight up burrow through thick walls of ice, melting its way through and then kind of slithering in. So it's almost like a mole. except it lives in ice. That's awesome. Jesus. Oh god, I mean, it's laggy for sure. You can still see the water presumably evaporating from the very tip of its spike. So it has to be incredibly hot. I mean, this kind of ice doesn't just melt like that. Just for reference, look at the size of this thing. Here they are just suspended in midair for that animation to play out. So we can probably get a slightly better look at them. So you can see the heat is almost like flowing from within its body towards the very tip, which is obviously the hottest part of the whole thing. It also seems to be kind of pulsating. So I have to believe it's doing this consciously. The mouth itself is very similar to the chelicerate in the way it opens, which is kind of another interesting thing, because if that's a feature shared by multiple creatures in one specific area of the planet, one must think that there's probably some significance to it. For the rest of its body, you know, it's a rather smooth underbelly, surprisingly smooth actually. And then the top has that typical layered armor plating that we've seen on so many creatures before. I mean, everything from research specimen Theta through to the sand sharks and everything else. I would love to get it this close up with its mouth open. It looks terrifying though. And it's crazy long too. I mean, this is gonna be one of the longest creatures currently in the game. Not even kidding. Alright, finally, let's take a look at the Death Flame. What? Okay, I heard a lot of audio, but maybe that's because we're in the audio part. Maybe this doesn't actually do anything. Or maybe it's just slightly bugged right now. I mean, this is the experimental version after all, so not everything in there is working fully as intended. Yeah, that audio does not sound good, whatever is happening. But what's interesting is that you can still hear the ice crackling if you listen closely. So it's not all about melting through it. You don't just hear water evaporating. In fact, you barely hear any water evaporating, which you would think you would hear water like boiling away. So it's probably a combination of just raw pressure combined with the heat that kind of gets it through. That's very interesting. Anyways guys, that was it for the debug area of the ice worm, and I think there are actually many interesting things we can take from this even before the creature is fully implemented. Not only is it seemingly able to control its own body temperature within its spike, which is different from basically all animals on the planet except for perhaps one, which could theoretically be the crashfish, but then again the crashfish doesn't control the explosion on its own. Basically its spikes penetrate its body, which is why it explodes. So even though it is similar to something like the lava lizard or the sea dragon, in the sense that it has some body parts that can contain extreme heat, the difference is this creature is able to create it seemingly within its own body, whereas the dragon and the lizard have to acquire already heated material. What is also interesting here is that for its mode of transport, it seems to be a combination of melting the ice with extreme heat, but also a lot of just raw force to push through it, as evident by the crackling you hear whenever it's coming up to the surface. Finally, looking at its body, it might be somewhat related to the chelicerate simply based on how its jaws open, which is definitely something we should keep an eye out for in the future, because we already have two creatures with somewhat similar heads both in the same area, so it is not completely out of the question that other smaller creatures with a similar setup might be appearing later. I mean, you can already start seeing some similarities in the squid shark. Finally, the armor plating on its back and the burrowing in ice makes you think that potentially it could be related to the ancient skeleton from the Lost River, or perhaps very distantly it could have branched to some of the more recent creatures like research specimen Theta, a sand shark, or perhaps even bone sharks. But anyways, that is all of the information we have for now before the game is officially out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this slightly different video and learned at least something new and interesting about the wonderful world of Subnautica Below Zero. If you liked the video, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. And if there's anything that I missed or your own theory that you would like to cover, please make sure to leave those down in the comments as well. I would very much like to read them. Now with that, I'm gonna wish you all a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.